Now you may find that layout a little bit cluttered by default. If you work on one screen, it's a little difficult. So you can actually customize the layout. I recommend unchecking that box by default, auto update layout, because otherwise if you mess with the layout and like you accidentally pick a tab and move it, if you auto update, this is going to be saved right away and you have no way to control Z that step. Whereas here I messed it up, but if I go back to editing, it's back as it was. So actually, if you want to dock out some windows, you can hold Control and then take them out. Hold Control and take them out. And then, of course, you can create a custom layout, name it, and then keep editing that layout. And then when you're happy with your layout, I recommend actually updating it manually here. Update current layout. This is like a manual save. So personally, I have a series of layouts that you can see here. I have my default layout for animating with a large viewport. The timeline is taking the entire screen. My layers are also stacking up as high as they can, so I can stack up a lot if I do a lot of edits. And I have my key controls here and my character controls, so my animation picker also. And on my second screen, I have the resources tab, so with post control, properties, filter, asset browser. I have the original navigator tab, also very big, with the story, the F-curves, the dope sheet, everything I need. And here I made a second navigator, which I actually customized. To customize the navigator, you can go into Window, Add Navigator, and in Filters, you can add your own user scheme, and just select the ones you need. So in my case, I like having when I just animate, I don't have actors, I don't have audio. I select scene, which are all the objects in the scene. Select camera, I select characters, I select constraints, and takes usually. So I just have the bare minimum for animating. You can see here, you can unroll, and you have this. And the cool thing when you have this navigator is you can work on, for example, with constraints or with takes. But here you still have your story. So for example, if you want to add multiple text to the story, you can easily add them, jump to another take, add them here. So this is why I highly recommend having this kind of setup on a dual screen setup. I have another layout called Expert Mode, similar to 3ds Max with reduced UI and a very big viewport, so it's useful if you want to record your animation to play blasted. I also have a full navigator view, so on my second screen I have the navigator taking the entire screen, and this is useful when working in story mode with a lot of clips that you want to blend together, or when I rig a character and I want to work on a very complex relation constraint. For example, I have this taking a lot of space on my screen, and on the left screen I still have my properties, I still have my groups, and I have a smaller viewport. And I have a mono screen setup when I need to record tutorials and have everything in one screen. I just rearrange the default UI a bit to have a longer timeline and a bigger story and F-curves. When you create a new layout, it is saved here in your documents, MB, and under the version you're using. So I'm currently on 2018. Config, and then layouts. So you can see here I have all my layouts. So if you want to share those or back them up, you can copy paste them, send them to another user. And here you have your application. So this is all your preferences. So every time you change an option, a default setting, the grid, whatever setting, it's saved here in the application. So this is also good to back it up somewhere. Oh, if you have a crash and Mobu saves the scene, by the way, it's saved here as well. Your keyboard shortcuts are saved somewhere else. They are saved in your installation folder. So usually program files or whatever folder you selected when installing. Go into bin, config, and keyboard. And here you have all the different keyboards that you see by default when you go to settings, interaction mode. And this is just a text file, so you can actually edit those here. There's no UI directly in the software to edit the keyboard shortcuts for some reason. And the way it works is you have the name of the action, and you have either control or alt or none or shift. So this is if you have to hold control alt shift or just nothing, just press the key. And you have the key itself, and then you have down or up. Okay. So I will share my personal keyboard Maya preference in the video description. So if you guys want to use all my shortcuts, you can. And in my shortcuts, I have V to cycle through the different character modes, either full body, body part, or selection. I can hold a Q as well to ignore the pinning. So it's this option here, have it on Q. So if here the feet are locked, but if I want to move the character around, just hold Q and move him entirely. Or if my arm has rotation and translation pinned, I can hold Q and move the arm around. And switch between IK and FK posing. Actually, I have Alt W and Alt E to alternate between the pinning of both. So I can quickly toggle the rotation pinning or the translation pinning, or both. And to key the character, you can press S, of course. So if you're in body part, it's going to be a green key. I also have a shortcut to key in full body. So even if I'm not in full body in the character cycle, I can still key the entire character with Alt S. In the F-curves, you can insert a key by holding M and middle mouse button. But when you do that, you may insert a key like in between keys, in between frames, or you may have accidentally moved the value. So sometimes it's what you want, but sometimes not. So if you want to insert a clean key without any risk of changing the value, you can press Alt I. It's going to add a key on all the properties that are active. So here I keyed rotation, but not translation. In the story mode, I have Alt R to use the razor and cut the clips, selected clips. And I have Alt A to toggle between the loop and scale modes, so I can chop off the clip like this or extend it, or I can scale its timing and slow it down or speed it up. If you have some scripts that you want to trigger directly with shortcuts, you can put them in Action Script. And then here in Action Script, you want to add them to your list, so you need to actually enter the path to your scripts. And then in your keyboard shortcut text file, you'll have here action global script 1, action global script 2. So when you press this shortcut, for example Shift F1, Shift F2, it's going to play the script that's referred here. Script 1, script 2, etc.